All right, so today we are going to be doing the lab, fluid lines and fittings on the back side. Step number 21. It says take a flexible fluid line from the container. Either this is the hose 111-6, okay? The 111-4 is smaller in diameter, right? So then you're going to take the where is it? The socket here goes over the hose, so we're going to put that socket on here. The thing you need to know about the socket is it has a left-hand thread. What does that mean? It means you have to lefty-tighty, righty-loosey. Which is totally backwards, right? Okay, so what did I say? Which way? Lefty. All right, so I'm going to put this on, get started by hand. All right, and I'm going to put it in the vise. Don't ever put the hose in the vise. You'll crush it, it'll break, fracture, and it'll leak, okay? So, let's see, I've got to loosen this up. I always got to think about that. This is backwards from 30 years of training, right? 35 years. All right, so you screw that in until you get to the bottom. It'll stop when you get there. Okay, mine's stopped, and I want you to back it off a quarter turn, because what happens in these sockets, another one here, there is approximately a quarter inch where it's threaded. This one's probably 3/8. It's threaded in here. You can see when we get there. So this stops here when you hit the threaded portion, because the threaded portion is smaller in diameter. So we back it off a quarter because we don't want that hose tight up against the fitting, otherwise you won't be able to get the mandrel in, okay? So the next step is we get oops, where'd it go? We're going to get a nipple and a B-nut, all right? So this is a B-nut because it's for hose and tubes, all right? And then this is the nipple here. Goes inside the B-nut, okay? So the hoses are in this, the B-nuts and the nipples and everything are in there. And then this Tupperware here, we have the mandrels. You have to have a mandrel to put this together. And put a little lubricant on that mandrel, because if you don't, it won't go together well, okay? Can you get my wrench set back here, please? Thank you. All right, so we tighten up the mandrel and the B-nut, and Jeremiah is going to get my wrenches, which were moved since this morning. I'm going to lubricate that one more time. Just a little bit of oil on there, or hydraulic fluid, whichever you prefer, have in stock. Thank you. So -6 line, the B-nut is 11/16, very common size, okay? And then these mandrels here are 3/4 wrench. So you got to get this very tight, because you don't want it to spin when you're putting it on there. They can't separate. Okay, we put the sleeve in the vise, and we're going to put this in here. And what I'm going to do is, now most of these have been assembled before, so they're not going to be difficult to assemble, except for Terrell's. But, so I'm pushing down on the mandrel and turning this in, okay? If you don't get both motions in there, it won't start threaded. You see on these nipples, it's tapered, okay? So the threads start very shallow and then they get deeper. So that way we can grab it right away. If yours doesn't grab right away, come see me. I have found a couple of the sleeves, the threads are not good. Okay, I threw 2 of them away this morning. So there. All right, so I'm going to keep going down, and for demonstration purposes, I'm going to cheat. Okay. Okay. What you want to do is run that down so that you can fit your fingernail underneath, because the B-nut has to turn. All right. If you run it down too far, it jams up against the sleeve and it won't turn. Right, so at least a fingernail, in at most a 1/16 of an inch. Okay, that's a little more than I like there, so I'm going to turn it in just a little bit more. You don't want it too loose. Then you take and you disconnect the mandrel from the B-nut. See how that rotates? See, I can fit my thumbnail in there easily, but there's not a 1/16 of an inch there. You got that on video there? All right. So that is a properly installed fitting on a hose. Okay, and you'll know you're successful if you can do this. Okay, that's the lesson for today. This is how we do these fittings here. Okay, once you have both ends on, you're going to come and you're going to put it on this mock-up board, okay? And this one will go over here. And then we put this is the Adel clamp. And you got to get the right size Adel clamp when you're working in the shop. Okay? The hose clamp and the Adel clamps go right here like this, and then they get bolted together. Okay, everybody understand that? Yeah. Pretty clear? If you have any questions, ask me or your neighbor, or you can look at your sheet here. So you know that you are successful when you can assemble and install the flexible fluid line on the mock-up board. Okay, it's all on your worksheet. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, as an addendum to our hose manufacturing day, we're going to learn how to cut a hose because this end is ruined. We're going to let somebody start with a new end. So, first thing I do, this is a 303 hose, so it's got the braided cotton wrap around the end, and that when you cut it, it always tends to fray or unwrap or something. So I put a piece of tape around it, okay? That helps keep everything locked in. And then you use a cutoff wheel with a guard, okay, because we're safe. Then you just got to cut through that hose. Now remember, it has how many layers?
4.
You have 4, 3, 4. Depends on what you're counting, but yes. But what is the hardest substance in here?
Steel braid.
Yeah, the stainless steel braid. Steel would rust, so it's stainless steel braid. Okay. So yeah, that's really what we're cutting through. Don't rush it, or you'll start separating the braiding, and you'll have little pokey things sticking out the end. All right. So I'm going to put my PPE on. And I'm going to cut this. Oh, that's just tape. All right. So, have a nice clean cut here. Let me unwrap this here. Okay, can you see that in the background there? Nice clean cut. The only thing you want to do is make sure you get all the little rubber pieces out of inside of here. So, blow it out, okay? And that is how you cut a hose. Now, what else have we done here in the shop? We've made it smell really bad, haven't we? Okay. So, cutting the rubber is kind of a stinky job, but somebody's got to do it, right? Okay, excuse me, thank you.